Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I am your host, Brian. You are on the BrianTMurray YouTube channel. I wanted to do something different. I want to talk about, what really inspired me to do this video is I saw the 25-year anniversary of the 1996 NBA draft, which is by far the greatest NBA draft of all time. Also, I just saw last week that the Potter's House just had the silver anniversary, 25 years. 25 years since T.D. Jakes left West Virginia to, they had a miniature exodus to Dallas. He had 50 families move from West Virginia and other parts of the country to move to Dallas to start the Potter's House in Dallas. 25 years. A lot has happened in 25 years. So I wanted to do a video to kind of talk about what these last 25 years have been for me. 25 years ago, I graduated from high school. 25 years ago. 25 years ago in 1 month, I graduated from high school. So I wanted to do a little stream of consciousness to kind of talk about what it was like going on through life as a 18-year-old kid. So I want to start with the fact that you just have no idea how gullible you are. I mean, you just have no idea how gullible you are. I mean, like none. None. You have no idea how gullible you are. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. So, I'm in high school. I'm coming out. You know, the college thing that wasn't submitted. I was already accepted by Howard. I heard back from College Park. But the thing with them was, they wanted me, my scores and everything didn't come out the way they wanted them to be. My SAT scores, everything. They wanted me to join kind of an entry program to kind of work some things out before they full-fledged accept me. And I also applied to Hampton, and I'm trying to remember, did I apply to Hampton or I did, and Hampton was like, nah. Well, either or. The moment I saw that Howard accepted me, I was like, hey, oh, we're doing it. We're doing it. I never enjoyed school. I never enjoyed school. I mean, I see why it's important, but it's like, no, I was not one of those types that enjoyed school, because even then I was like, pretty much as I am now, it's got to be an easier way of doing this. However, school was so important is because it taught you more about life than more about academics. What it is I mean by that is the fact that you're competing, you're dealing with all kinds of people. Though granted, everyone in my class, you know, similar background, not exact background, but similar background. It's like, you know, that's what it's like. That's what life is going to be for the rest of your life. You are going to be competing with people that you like or may not like or whatever, and it's like everyone is trying to get their desired outcomes. The general consensus of my high school class was, I'm going to go to CCB, which was Community College of Baltimore. It's been called BCC since then, I believe. But yeah, CCB. I mean, I had a pretty large graduating class. It was crazy is because everybody either wanted to do hair or they're going to CCB. It's like, wait, wait, I get it. I don't like school, but we're talking about your life. How is your life a year from now going to look any different from you being in high school? That's what I couldn't get. I didn't understand that. So many people was tapping out, and I was like, no, man, we have to get this degree. We have to get this money, man. This is what we need to do. So I was just amazed. I got a lot of props is because I was essentially going out of the city to go to school. Granted, DC, excuse me, is right down 95, but to my class coming out of Baltimore, they was like, yo, where's it again? This was right after the Tribe Called Quest and Biggie was coming to Howard's homecoming. So this was just like, yo, I'm all in. I'm all in. Man, I felt like the #1 draft pick, man. Coming out of Baltimore, going to Howard, what? That was huge. That was huge, man. So that was crazy. The summer of '96, I interned at, then it was called First National Bank. Same nonsense. You need money. You need money. So we didn't have no break. School ended. The internship started in like 10 days. I wanted at least a month off, man. I was like, look, after doing all this jumping through hoops and all this other stuff, I just want to go somewhere and sleep. Nah, the internship started in like 10 days, man. I mean, that was insane. That was insane. I did the internship. Same old, just being broke, just having enough money to catch the bus. No money for food or lunch. Just the way it has always been. Just hungry. Just going to work just to make enough money to pay to come back to work and prepare myself for this move to Washington. So summer, the first 8 weeks of that was just standard stuff. You know, I had a girlfriend at the time. That was crazy. That was crazy. Being in a relationship, and yeah, we were butting heads about that because one of the amazing things my sister have ever told me was, it was fall semester of my senior year in high school, and she said, hey, you know, I understand you have a girlfriend and she's nice, but hey, you're getting ready to go to Howard. Do you really want to commit to this girl who, I don't know if she's going to college or not, but you have no idea what's waiting at Howard. Do you really want to? I was like, that was the most forward-thinking conversation I received as an 18-year-old. Notice it didn't come from my parents at all. Not at all. No, it didn't come from my brother at all. It came from my sister. I was so stunned. I was like, what? and like for years, I've been all about forward progressive conversations. It's like, hey, here are some things you need to think. I'm all about that now. But when I wasn't even 18 yet. I was 17. I was like, what? Oh. I remember when I first broached that conversation with the young lady I was involved with. This is why fathers need to be more involved in their children's lives. This is why. This is why. As you approach adulthood, you need to have adulthood conversations. So, I'm going away to college. My girl is staying right there in her parents' house doing whatever it is she does. There needs to be a conversation about that. But there was no one having a conversation with me. My sister just sharing that was like a whole new world to me. Like, what? Because up to that point, everything was about family, about the church. We're going to hold hands together forever, and it's all going to be good, and we're going to pray. It's not real life stuff. Not real life stuff. This is why our men are so soft. This is why our young men are so soft, because they're so they're so catered to. This is why our men are so soft, because we don't have real conversations with them. We don't have real conversations with them at all. That's why we're walking around 17, 18, still thinking like a 13-year-old. Because no one is challenging us. No one is giving us concepts that make us think. Wait, what? I was working. I was doing well. I was working. I was doing well at my jobs. I was doing well in school. I was doing well in church. Big whoop. Those are three things that don't cover the rest of life. When my sister hit me with that, I was like, I mean, my mind almost shut down. It's like I couldn't even compute. It never crossed my mind that this chick was holding on to me so I would never leave her. It never crossed my mind. Like, this is not even a real conversation, because y'all are two kids that haven't done anything. Like, what are your plans? Like, what is really happening? Like what are you trying? Man, someone is doing. So strong. That's crazy. Alright. So, I mean, like, yo, I had my license. But I didn't, it was so much I did not know. It was so much I did not know. Honor to my parents is because we don't give our parents enough credit. Number one, sure, it's a lot I didn't know. But that's not their job to fill in every hole in your life. No. This is what 30 and 40-year-olds are doing now. They're trying to make their parents guilty for not raising them a certain way, and oh, you ain't tell me about this, you ain't tell me about that. No, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand what is really going on. No, wait, stop. No, wait. No, you're sheltered. The only thing that's going to break you out of that shelter is the process. That's the only thing. I knew how to work. I knew how to work hard. I knew how to make money. I knew how to do well in school. I knew how to do well in church. I was at that time I was in a relationship for about a year. So we have gotten together summer of '95. So we were together for a year. No conversations about what's next. Like, what's happening? What are we doing? None of that. None of that. Craziness. It's so much I did not know. It was scary. I understand being carefree and moving on through life, but it's like, when I look back on how unprepared I was, it's like, yo, please. Nothing from my brother like that. Nothing from my mother. My mother had already been deceased for a year and a half at this point. Absolutely nothing from my father. No. 3 areas where school, work, church, where people control you. Just no honest conversations. Just do this, do that, do this. All good. No, not all good. I do not have the ability to think for myself. I know if I don't do something, I understand consequences. But to think for myself, I knew when I didn't want to do something or wasn't doing something, I knew that. But no. Someone to come along and be like, hey, let's go for a slice of pizza and just go over some things. Nothing. I'm so grateful for the fact that I was working so hard in high school, it prepared me for college. I mean, like employment. Yo. Working in college. See, where I went to high school to, and where I was living about that time, and where I worked, it was like bam, bam, bam. When you move down to Montgomery County and go to school in Washington, D.C., it ain't none of that bam, bam, bam stuff. No. Where you go to school, where you live, where you go to work, miles apart. A lot of time is spent in your commute. A lot of money that you don't have is spent in your commute. It is crazy. You are earning just enough money to get your share of rent, to be able to buy a bus pass, and maybe get a bag of chips. When I was an underclassman in college, I was roommates with my brother because I couldn't afford to live on campus. When I moved in with him, he had a roommate already. So it was a 2-bedroom basement apartment. The place smelled like mildew. I didn't know what mildew was. I didn't know that the place smelled. I didn't know that was a thing until I got around other people. Like, yo, why does your coat smell like? Because you don't know what you don't know. So I forget the guy's name. Good guy. My brother is doing his thing. He already been out of Baltimore for about 10 years now. So everything's just popping for him. Let me tell you. If you think he gave me a walkthrough on how things worked and all that, nah. None of that happened. But I'm grateful for everything he did do for me. But it was no. There was none of that. Oh no. Because in my brother's mind, I was still the spoiled, bratty 15-year-old. No, sorry, not even. When he left home, I was 8 years old. I was 9 years old because we are not 9 years apart. So he went on with his life. Hard knock life, doing everything that I eventually ended up going through, just trying to survive. Okay, when it was my turn to go through that, there was none of that mentoring. Oh no. Whenever he said something to me, I had to listen because he was not going to repeat it again. He was not going to repeat it again. I needed to listen. I did not understand what he was talking about. No, none of that. When I saw other freshmen come down with their parents, and I mean, it was, okay, my oldest niece is getting ready to leave for college next month. Okay. I am sure she is going to receive a red carpet orientation, multiple red carpet orientations on multiple levels. None of that for me. None of that for me. No. When I left Baltimore, I had $13 in my pocket. $13. Not a penny more. $13. I had no job. I didn't know what I was going to do for money. None of that. No plans. It was like I was an immigrant. That's why even then where I lived, it was a highly populated immigrant area. I had respect for them because I knew what they was going through. Because it's all about survival. It's all about survival. When I was learning the treatment that my peers were getting when they first moved to DC, I was like, so wait, what? Your parents took you where? For the what? Where is that? What's that? See, the internet wasn't mainstream yet. The internet was out, but it wasn't mainstream. So everybody didn't have it. And even when you had it, it was dial-up. So the internet wasn't a thing. Everything was trial and error like a mug. So I'm learning day-to-day life on the fly. Day-to-day life. And that's fine. It's because people move from city to city all the time. People move from country to country for their profession all the time. This is how it is. This is how it is. I'm not salty about that. That's how it is. I'm just saying, when you have someone in your midst, why would you not walk them through? That's what I don't get. I had classmates from Sacramento. Some of their parents didn't come over to DC with them. I get it. People gotta learn as you go. I understand. But I was from Baltimore, not not from a foreign country. When I first moved down and I had to go and deal with financial aid. Let me tell you, I had no money. So trying to get into school, that was hit or miss. It was like, I don't know why I came down here. I don't have money. Before I leave, we're having testimonial service. Okay. Having testimonial service, and I'm believing, and I'm having a faith, and the Lord will provide, and everybody else in church broke right along with me, like, yeah, you yeah, you going. One of the greatest regrets I had was going to college with no money. You telling me I could come back and pay cash and not deal with all this student debt that I'm still paying for? College is if you don't have money for it, if you don't have a strategy for it to not go in debt, college is a lifestyle. Like, you're not ready for that. If you can't pay for it, I don't care what it is, a car, a house, if you can't pay for it, you're not ready for it. you're not ready for it. Because one missed payment will mess your life up. Okay? Yo. I'm on campus for a week. Going to this meeting, that orientation. You know, all kinds of evaluations and ice cream socials and all this other stuff. School ain't paid for. So I have this level of anxiety. It's like, I mean, I sure enough needed the Lord to speak to me. Because this was a solo act. Oh, no. There was no safety net. There was no safety net. All those who thought my brother was there to help me, you crazy. He did not. He did not. He did not. He did not. Oh no. He had his life. He had his longtime girlfriend. Everything was just deuces all the time. Like, so I was just like, what is this? What is this? What is this, man? Man, I had friends who had their parents putting clean linen on their dorm sheets and all that other stuff. I was like, wait a minute. I was there when we went down to College Park to take my brother and sister to school. I didn't get 10% of that. Why? Because my mother died. Once she died, everybody stopped caring. I mean, I was like, wait. I remember when my father bought my brother a color TV. Like, that was the fanciest thing we had in our house. That was the fanciest thing. My brother's TV is like about the size of my main monitor right now. That was the fanciest thing in our house. Just to let you know how we were. My father bought him a TV. And I was like, is this for us? That's for me. You taking it when you leave, like, so we're back to nothing? I don't understand it. I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. It was none of that when I went to college. It was none of that. It was none of that. It was none of that. I was like an immigrant trying to figure life out. And that's fine because I learned a lot from that. But I'm looking at my brother and my sister. I was like, wait, y'all know that was like a big thing for y'all. One year, my sister went back to college. I think it was her junior year. We had the deacon of our church help move some of the stuff in. Like, wait, I don't understand. I don't understand. Wait, when y'all went to college, it was a community thing. When I went, granted, my sister obviously came down with me to take me to my brother's apartment and everything. But I remember we got there and I was like, okay, I have to go to a place called Blackburn to start dealing with the financial stuff. I don't know what financial stuff you have to deal with when you have no money. So, man, I mean, this is just crazy. This is just crazy. My brother was working on a huge project, and he said to us, "Yeah, I can't go with y'all." I was like, wait. Are you messing with me? Wait, we talked about this for 2 months. I'm finally here, and you're telling me we don't even know how to get there. My brother's like, can't do it, sorry. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy, man. This is insane. My sister stood up and was like, hey, look, no. Man, seriously. He as in me, he don't know what he's doing down here. Can you go with us? We don't know what's what. We don't know where to park. We don't. My brother was so inconvenienced. He was like, okay, I'll go. I was like, should we say thank you, or I mean, come on, man. You're treating this like everything that's happening with me is optional, as if it's this huge inconvenience. Like this is crazy, man. All right. Before I leave Baltimore, I stopped by to where my father was at the time. This is so crazy. So we find him. We come into the church on North Avenue, someone else's church, and I was like, hey, so I'm going off to college. What that meant to me was, whatever you can do for me, I need it, because I have nothing. I have no money. Everything, 90% of what I own is in my sister's Honda Accord. 90% of everything I own is in the backseat of my sister's Honda Accord. So my father does what he always does. He always pat himself down as if, I don't know. Oh, okay. You know, he was going through some stuff too. Okay, fine. came out and gave me like 5 of his dress shirts. He was like, here you go. And I was like, Like, I was stunned. I was like, so everybody knew I was leaving. Everybody acting like I sprung this on you. And when you have nothing, I'm looking to my father and he gives me 5 dress shirts. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I mean, y'all, I was scared out of my mind. I was scared out of my mind. I had no plan. I had no money. I technically had a support system, but kind of didn't. Y'all, that was just insane. I was like, okay. All right, thank you. He gave me this really nice blue dress shirt and gave me the cufflinks with it. And I was like, you know, it wasn't at all what I was expecting. But as I said, he was going through some stuff too. That's fine. That happens. But though I had nothing, I still knew how to say thank you. I still knew how to say thank you and still be grateful. I'm like, okay, I know all the stuff I don't have, but at least I'll have 5 dress shirts to add to my collection of t-shirts. But I mean, that was just, that was probably one of the longest rides of my life. I just had, I mean, that was just tough, y'all. That was tough. I got on campus, boy. I saw whole families and grandmothers walking across the yard. And I'm sitting off to the side like, what? You could hear them over talking like, yeah, where are we going to eat today? Like, I had no food. I had none of that. This is tough, man. And that's how it was. That's how I came to DC. It's like that story probably isn't very uncommon today, but when everybody know you're going away to college, boy, I mean, yo, the support level, not really there. It was not really there. My sister, thankfully, she stayed overnight. At least I got that. We came down on a Saturday. She went back on like a Sunday night. So, again, the little I had to be grateful for what I was getting. So, I'm doing all this. Seeing some of the most beautiful people that I have ever seen in my short life was intimidating. That was intimidating. Keep in mind, there are no cell phones yet. There are no cell phones yet. Only people. No. The cell phone thing was not popping. The cell phone thing was not popping yet. So it was scary seeing people who were freshmen just like me, but they looked so comfortable in this new environment. I was like, next week I'm going to have to go back to Baltimore because nothing has changed. I don't have any, I have less money than what I came down here with. Craziness. And when you're 18, you don't know that you shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people. So by me going from if you will, a small pond to a big pond, I'm going through all this. I mean, it was just a rush. It was just a rush, and I was like, man, this is frightening. This is frightening. And I also noticed whenever events were over, everybody was going back to their dorm. I had a 50-minute commute back, and I don't remember how to get there. I remember I had an orientation that Monday morning, and my brother was like, "Yeah, you have to learn how to get there via public transportation." I was like, "Okay." So my sister was helping me and all this other stuff, and I mean, just frightening. Like, and like my brother's thing was like, "If you get lost, that's fine. Figure it out." I was like. This Negro is not joking. This Negro is not joking at all. He's not joking at all. He's not joking at all. He was like, figure it out. Figure it out. And I was like, okay. When I moved down to DC, there was no such thing as a good night's sleep. Because just all this anxiety. All this stress, just all the time. So, okay. When I met my friend Arroya, that was frightening. This is why. She looked better than all the girls in my high school put together. And she kept looking at me. So it's like I got very limited people skills. I just had this uber attractive woman, same age as me, who's just trying to pretend like she's not looking at me. It just made me so uncomfortable. Like, why is she looking at me? I would see her like maybe one. I mean, seeing her was like looking at a unicorn, because it was like I would see her once every couple of weeks, and when I would see her, I'd be like, oh, there she go, everybody. I don't know who everybody is because I'm talking to myself. I'm like, ooh, why does she keep looking at me? She was a size 2, freckles, with natural red hair. I mean, smile like sunlight. I was like, when I look at her and I look at who I was dating, who I was in a relationship with at the time, I was like, is it like this down here? Like, I was astonished by how attractive the women were in DC compared to Baltimore at that time. I was blown away. Like, what is this? What is this? This is crazy. This is crazy. So just getting acclimated, meeting people, just going along, and it's like a snowball effect. I could not build the friendships that I wanted to build is because I didn't live on campus. I didn't live on campus, and I worked every day after class. So what you don't have time for is to build friendships. Because after that last class, I gotta go. My job is 12 miles away. I have to take 3 trains and 3 buses to get there. It was like that every day. It was like that. My brother worked on campus, but it wasn't none of that. No. There was none of that. Oh, can I get a ride with you? Oh, there was none of that. No. There was none of that. No. No. There was none of that. I was like, okay. So spend 95 minutes doing a commute that will only take you 15 minutes. Okay. I got you. That was crazy. In 1996, trying to learn this new life, that was just crazy, man. I get a job, everything's going. To fast forward, it wasn't until my brother and his now wife was getting ready to get married. He got married July of 1998. At this time, I have a better idea. 2.5 years, 2 years later, I'm in the DC area. I know how to move around. His wedding is coming up, and here's another real life conversation. But before we get to that, let's go back to the year before. It was March 1997. This is what the disconnect in our residence was. He was under the impression that I had money. I don't know where he heard that rumor from. I don't know. I don't know what company he thought I was a CEO of. I don't know what that was about. I moved down from Baltimore with $13. When you move down here and you don't have a job, you don't have more money. So one of the first conversations we had was, you have to pull your share of bills around here. I was like, okay. You have to get a job. Okay, cool. No problem. That wasn't the problem. The problem was, after I started working, he said the same thing to me my sister said to me when I was living with her while my senior year in high school. I was getting ready to graduate. I graduated from high school. I was getting ready to go into my freshman year. I was a rising freshman in college. My sister was complaining the fact that I wasn't contributing around the apartment. It's like, whoa, wait. You know, I'm basically a high school intern, right? I have no money. All my money goes into buying a bus pass, trying to get back to the job so I can earn more money to buy another bus pass. So she had this whole aggression thing going, and I was like, dude, am I part of a trust fund that I don't know about? Like, what are they thinking compared to where I really am? That prepared me, because I went through the same thing with my brother a year later. My brother was acting like he was the head of HR. He was like, so you're not, and you're not buying enough groceries. I was like, what? What? He's like, you're not buying enough groceries. Like, when I buy groceries, I'm spending X amount, which was common 25 years ago for 2 adults, single guys. So I was working a minimum wage job part-time because I was taking 18 credits in school. And his main complaint to me was the fact that you're not pulling your weight around here. I was like, is there a third person that lives here that I don't know about? Like, what are you talking about? When I told him my budget for groceries was $10, that was not a lie. $10, that was not a lie. $10 bought us bread, cheese, potato chips, juice, maybe eggs. Not so big on the eggs. It's because when you're broke, eggs, a dozen of eggs are expensive. I did that for a year because that's all I had. He was talking to me like I was some father not paying child support. I was like, ow, woo! I mean, that just, yo, I don't know what triggered the conversation, but it was March 1997 that we had a heart-to-heart. And God to honest truth, he thought I was holding out on money on him. He thought I had a situation. He thought I was a functional adult. No, I wasn't a functional adult. I was the same person I was in Baltimore. I was a survivor. I was a survivor. Don't know what's going on. I don't know where this is. I don't know where that is. Whatever. So whenever he would take a moment to help me, I would just, you know, just not talking, just absorb whatever, because this little help he's giving today, it won't be here tomorrow. So I need to really, yo, that was just crazy. That was probably the first heart-to-heart talk we had in person, like, ever. Because he admitted he was under the impression that, I don't know, I had money, I knew where I was going, I knew what it is I was doing, I knew this, I knew that, blah, 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 blah. He just had that. I don't know where that came from. I was like, but you saw me my first day. So I don't know where all this angelic help that you think I have came from. The same person you saw walk in these doors on day one, I'm that same person. Okay, I'm that same person. When we got to the meat of things, he said essentially that he was like, I didn't know that you needed me. I was like, what? He was like, I did not know that you needed me. I was like, but wait, you saw me come down with Shannon in her Honda Accord with everything I own, with 90% of everything I own in her back seat. Like, if that car was to catch on fire, I would have nothing. So what makes you think no. I remember when our parents took you to College Park. I remember going down there with you before you had to go, and you scoped the whole campus out. One of the greatest days of my life. I was 8-9 years old. I was there because I was a child when my parents took you to college, took my sister to college. But when it got down to me, everybody is just so busy. Like, I'll give you a quick rundown on what it is you need to do, and you need to do that. Okay, I didn't get any of that. We met my siblings' roommates and everything. I didn't get any of that. I'm not saying I had to have that, but I needed a lot more than what I got. I mean, that was crazy. That was crazy. Here's the toughest thing. You go to your church your whole life. That's all you know. Every Sabbath. And you're there. And then all of a sudden, it stops. No one calling, checking on you. No one sending you money. Because if I remember, the overall perception was my brother was taking care of me, which could not have been further from the truth. So, I don't know. It was this huge disconnect, and I was just surviving. It was years later. My sister and I was somewhere, and a school meal plan came up in the conversation. We were in our 30s. Something about a meal plan came up. I was like, yeah, that would have been cool. I didn't have that. My sister was like, wait. Wait. So how did you eat? I was like, I didn't. Whatever spare change I had, I went and got a chicken patty and some cocoa bread, whatever I could afford that day. Maybe on like a good day, maybe a juice, maybe. But that's what I ate. Like that's all I had. There was no plan. There was no plan. The moment you got hungry, that's when the plan started. Cause there was that conversation probably should have happened 15 years earlier. But that's how it was. My sister was like, so wait, how did you eat in college? What? No. I don't know what you're thinking, but whatever it is, that's not how it happened. No. It was like that moment where no. That is too extreme of an example. I'm not going there. So yeah, it was pretty insane. I remember when my high school buddy Dante came down to visit me, because the only way I could contact him is through a payphone, because the cell phone thing wasn't working yet. He came down. I was done with classes, sophomore semester. He came down to spend the night. I was telling, he was probably the only one who had an idea. Dante and Evangelist Morning. They were the only two that understood that, hey, I'm suffering down here. I mean, I'm really suffering. My brother won't talk to me. I have no money. I'm getting beat over the head about not having enough money. I'm 18 years old. I'm taking 18 credits. The following year, I was 19. I'm taking 19 credits. My job is trying to get me to work full time, while at the same time, the school sent a letter to my residents saying, if you don't get your grades up, we're going to kick you out of school. All this is happening at the same time, and I was like, well, why am I going through this? I don't understand. Why is this so hard? Not that it's hard. I just don't understand why is it so hard. Like, there was no strategy. There was no strategy. And my friend Dante came there. I went with him. He was still interning with HUD, I believe, at the time. He had this property he needed to look at out in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I went with him. We spent the day together. I was telling him leading up to that time he came down. I was like, hey man, my brother really doesn't talk to me. He was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, like, he comes in, he does his thing, you know, prepare for the next day. He will make his food. My brother made some amazing homemade fajitas. I mean, y'all, vegetarian fajitas. I mean, when he would make the navy beans, oh, it was like the greatest thing in the world. Especially when you're not eating every day. It was the greatest thing in the world. I mean, it was crazy. He will buy the spices, the peppers, and all this other stuff. So if he wasn't making that, I mean, he would make like a big pot, and like that would hold us for however long. But I'm telling my friend Dante, and I'm like, yo, you know, my brother really doesn't talk to me. He was like what, crack jokes? It's like, no, I mean, like, he's an adult, I'm an adult. It's like he knows everything I don't know, but he's not sharing it. So I'm going out into the world every day trying to figure this thing to be a functional adult in a brand new city on my own. This, I mean, that was crazy. So he was like, okay. So it wasn't until my brother came in from work while Dante was there. My brother came in, he mumbled hello, and then went to his room. And like Dante was like, I see it now. Like he ain't say no more than 10 words to me. So it's like, yeah. I mean, it's like straight up isolation every day. Like, when he would go to work, he worked right off of campus. I was going in the same place. He would not wait for me. He would not wait for me. It wasn't like I was moving too slow. It's like, yeah, no, we're separate. Now, some days he did, and I was grateful to God like a mug. Because when you have to be on campus by 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and you have to be in Northwest DC by 8, 9 a.m. and you're still in the county somewhere trying to wait. I had to wait for the community shuttle. It's called the Ride On. The community shuttle to take you to take you to the metro. There was no direct metro. No. Like, you wasn't going anywhere until you got to the metro. You could not get to the metro until this community shuttle. And this community shuttle did not show up every day. Maybe after the times I needed it, I don't know. But that's I thought he was running a 2-year prank on me or what. It was like, you have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. One of the greatest things my brother did for me was he allowed me to borrow his car. Woo! The first time he let me borrow his car, I was going to, it was President's Weekend. We had a 3-day weekend. Class was closed on Monday. Arroyo was like, yo, come and visit me at my dorm. I was like, what? She was like, yeah, Murray. We never called each other by our first names. You call each other, even now, we in our 40s, and we still call each other by our last names. Okay. She said, yeah, come and visit me. I was like, to understand, the reason why I didn't want to visit her is because I didn't know how to get there. So I was like, let me get back to you. She's like, Mary, what is the big deal? But are your brothers got? It's like, whenever she explained a plan, it was like the easiest thing in the world. And I was like, it's a few things you're not taking into context here. My brother got in. I was like, so hey, I wanted to see if I could borrow your car, cause it is a 3-day weekend. He was like, okay, sure. The rule with his car was don't crash it, which I didn't. And 2, you gotta replace the gas. Let me tell you folks, that was not as easy as it sounds when even without a car, you're already broke. So you're skimming off from your food money, your grocery money, to be sure that you can. Thankfully, the Acura was great on gas. But to put money into the Acura after you use it, which is more than fair. That was anxiety in itself. That was anxiety, especially when I would borrow the car to go to Baltimore. President's Weekend, Columbus Weekend. Something. I was like, hey, so can I borrow the car? He said, yeah, sure. He gives me the car. The Acura had a microchip. So he had his keys and he had a keychain with the microchip. You had to get in the Acura and put the microchip under the steering wheel. By the way, it was a stick. So I didn't even tell you the fact he had to teach me how to drive a stick because I had to learn a stick because that was the only car between us. So I had to learn how to drive a stick. We get in the car. I'm sorry. He gives me the car, have the microchip, have the key in. It is a stick shift. All this is happening all at once. It is It is crazy. It's a lot going on all at once. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Crazy. I told him, okay, so I know how to get to Baltimore. I know how to get to work because it's all in Maryland. I know how to get to the Catlett's house. I don't know how to get to the school. And he said what he always says, figure it out and don't call me. I lied to you not. I lied to you not. I lied to you not. If you ever drove in Washington, D.C., you will quickly pick up how many circles are in D.C. You can get lost standing still. He said, you can have the car, bless God. You got to replace the gas, bless God. I don't know how that's going to work. But you have to figure it out. And when you, not if, when you get lost, don't call me. Those was his instructions. I was like, okay. That's how it was. I've never told these stories before. That's how it was. It was just crazy. Like, I don't understand the reserved aggression towards me. I don't understand. There was no internet like that. There was no MapQuest. There was no Google Maps. So I'm like, okay, so I'm nervous about having his car in an area I don't understand. Let me tell you, it took me forever to get where I was going. And even then, I couldn't drive straight to our dorm. No. I had to drive to campus, park the car, then catch a shuttle on a Sunday night to my friend's dorm. Let me tell you, the time I was only there less than an hour because I took way too long. Because I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know how I could have drove straight to a dorm. I didn't know where the dorm was. I didn't know how to drive to the school. I knew how to catch the metro and the bus there, but not drive the. Just craziness. Just craziness, y'all. I mean, the craziness just prepares you, man. I mean, that's the only way you can see it. The craziness just prepares you. It just prepares you. I mean, I just did not understand why he wasn't more helpful. I just did not understand. All right, fast forward. He's getting ready to get married. He's ending his lease with Sam, our landlord. He says to me that forward-thinking conversation that my sister had with me my senior year. Like, I was all for those type of conversations. I just needed y'all to have them with me, because unless y'all have them with me, I'm just going to go to work and go to school, because that's all I know how to do. My brother said to me, so you know I'm moving out. I was like, yeah. I kind of figured that you and Stacey wouldn't live here, you know. He was like, you know, you're clearly not happy here. Why not move out too? I was like, what? It's like I didn't know what was happening. Like, is this one of his things where like he's hazing me, or it's like I don't understand. Like what's happening? He says you're clearly not happy here. Why not move closer to campus where you're closer to your friends? Like that never even crossed my mind. Yes, it is common sense, but it just never crossed my mind. Growing up, I can speak for me. Growing up, I was just trained to have a high threshold of discomfort. Like, I'm supposed to go through this, and that's a product of being a part of the black church. Like, you're just always uncomfortable. just you think everything is supposed to be hard and difficult and it's not right unless it's rough and all this nonsense, just craziness. He said it to me. I was like, wait, what? Move closer. He was like, yeah, you just find a place. You're paying similar amount of rent. Like, why couldn't we have more of these conversations? Because I'm 19, but I'm still a kid. Like, I don't know anything about planning ahead and what should I do with my life. All this. No, I know survival and I know consistency. That's all I know. When he said that to me, I remember I was talking to one of my friends on the phone, and I ran the idea next to her. It was like my whole world opened up. You know, if I live close to campus, I don't have to have a 2-hour commute every day. Wouldn't that be crazy? She's like, yeah, it wouldn't. Like, you can do this. I mean, it was just crazy. It like, y'all want me to be an adult, and I am, but you don't treat me like one, and you don't talk to me like one. Like, it's not until 20 years later I realized that's pretty much how society treats black men altogether. Like, oh, we have expectations of you, but we don't bring you along at all. Like every last one of y'all are LeBron James, his rookie year. We have these outlandish expectations for you, but yet we're not going to tell you how to do anything. That was me, 18, 19 years old. Crazy experience I had with my brother. He was a part of this, it's hard to explain. He had this urban, the name of it just, okay. He is with this organization where he gives back to DC youths. Okay, so summer of '97, he comes to me. He said, "Brian, I need you to do something for me," and I was like, "Okay, as in what is it?" I'm not able to make it to his kids' graduation or church service or something. I want you to go for me. I was like, what? just insane things my brother says. Yes, I want you to go for me. I want you to take the car. I want you to drop me off at my job, and I want you to go to their ceremony for me. I was like, Okay. It was down in Anacostia somewhere. Let me tell you, I had heard up to that point, I heard nothing but negative things about Anacostia, and I didn't know how to get there. But I told him I would. Why? Because this is the crazy part of me. I think because I get into a car and start driving, I'll automatically know how to get somewhere. That's me. I don't do that now, but then I did. I got in the car. How do you get from Tacoma Park, Maryland? So like he's using these hand motions trying to explain how do you get from where we live to Anacostia. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, this is all so fascinating. He's like, yeah, so get on this, and then go that way, and then make a left here, and all this. 25 minutes of that. And I was like, So he's crazy for doing it, and I'm crazy thinking that I can do it. Watch this. I get in the car. Craziness. I'm wandering, wasting gas, wandering. It got to a point, after wandering so long, I came back. When I told my brother I didn't make it, that was not a good day. That was not a good day. That was not a good day. I mean, it was just two idiots trying to make a plan work. And I mean, that was not good. That was not good. I mean, he was upset. He was upset. That was not good. I never told you that story. That was not good. That was not good. He was upset. Like, how dare you not be at my... But I was crazy. I told him I would do it. I had no idea how. That's just how it was. Just unrealistic expectations. Living with my brother. Just, I don't know what he thought. And me being a dummy saying yes to everything. Not good. Not good. When I moved closer to campus, life changed. Life changed. Life changed. I was more accessible on campus. People saw me more. I just got finished working a good internship in so much where I didn't know if I should try to buy a car, because I know when school starts, I'm not going. I mean, I had a job where I worked overtime every single day because it was available. Why? Because I knew it was going to stop. I knew it was going to stop. It was going to come to a point where it was going to stop. Y'all, I stacked up so much cash, man. I never had so much money before in my life. I mean, them checks was looking great in 1998. I mean, I was buying myself stuff I didn't think I needed. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. This was about the time where the debit card became mainstream. I didn't know what it's like. Okay, I'm going to hold off on that. I'm just going to use cash. I had cash on me all the time. I mean, crazy cash. crazy cash. I mean, I was making the kind of money to make me. That was crazy. I mean, I bought myself a whole new wardrobe and didn't even realize that I had done that. I mean, man, the Jay-Z albums was coming out, the DMX albums was coming out. Boy, I was buying music. The thought of buying music, but buying music? Nah, we're just gonna sit here by this radio and hope a good song comes on. I had so much cash, I was buying music. It was crazy. It was crazy. Graduating from college. This is what they don't tell you. The Monday morning after you graduate is how life is. The Monday morning after you graduate, that's how life is. Meaning, you will be amazed how cold the world gets. Because while you're in school, you're in this little cocoon. You have a level of entitlement you're not aware of. But once you graduate and that cocoon is no longer there and you're going into the workforce, my Monday morning after graduation, everything was cold, everything was hard, because everything was about, do you have money? Now, it was about that when I was in school, but as long as you were a student, it's like everybody understood. But now that you graduated, it's like, no, money. I remember being so hungry after I graduated. Like, I was hungry in college. But when you graduate from college, it's like a whole new level of hungry. It's just like a whole new level of hungry that you're not aware of. I was like, what is this feeling? It's like levels of hungry. You have a level of hungriness when you're a kid and you're with your family. That's a level of hungry. You have a level of hungriness when you're in college and like you are trying to go to like seminars that have food there or snacks there and eat that as dinner. That's a level of hungry. But the level of hungry that you have once you're done from being in your parents' house, you're done from being in college, and you're on your own, nah, that was crazy. That was crazy. I mean, that was crazy. I remember in 2000, my father came down to check on me. And he came down to see if I needed anything. Let me tell you, we went to the grocery store. That was a blessing in itself. But let me tell you, he came down to see if I needed anything, and he had a sandwich from Subway. That was like the greatest thing. Because I was working, but I was hungry all the time. Because when you're 20, 21, you don't know how to budget money. You don't know anything about that. You don't know anything about that. You don't see the need for doing that. You get paid on Friday, your money is gone Monday. Your money is gone. You're starving by Tuesday. Let me tell you, when we was on our way to the grocery store, I sat in that passenger seat and I ate that sandwich like it was the Lord's Supper. I listen to what I'm saying. I ate that sandwich like it was the Lord's Supper, man. And let me tell you, that level of hungriness after you graduate from college, it really don't, it doesn't go away. It does not go away. When you're a single professional, and no, that no, sir, that doesn't go away. That does not go away. That does not go away. That does not go away. Especially when me years ago, I cut back on processed foods because, again, coming up, I just had this survival mentality. So oodles and noodles was your friends. It wasn't until maybe 3 years ago I was talking with friends, and we were talking about processed foods, and she was like, you know, you really shouldn't, like, it's a shame I gotta tell you that you should eat oodles and noodles, because she said, matter of fact, why don't you just research it and you get back to me. I researched that. That was the last time I bought oodles and noodles. I was like, how are we still alive? How are we still alive when you grow up on that stuff? How are you still alive? I haven't had oodles and noodles in about 3 years, man, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it. But man, when you're trying to be healthier and food is more expensive because you're trying to be healthier and all that other stuff, it's crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy. 2010. I remember this moment when I come home from work late. Late as in it's like 8 p.m. going on 9 p.m. from my 9 to 5 job. Figure it out, right? I'm coming in and I put my bag down, I put my belongings down, and I say aloud, I've never done this before, I'm doing something wrong. Because I'm hungry all the time and I'm broke all the time. But I work every day. I work every day. I don't understand. I'm doing something wrong. That was a turning point in my life. That was a turning point in my life because an episode of Mike Murder was getting ready to come on. He was talking about you don't have a money problem, you have a wisdom problem. Let me tell you, when you're growing up in Baltimore, you don't hear people talk like that. What? Because you're in this mode where you think more money is the answer to your problems. It's not more money, it's how you manage money. I am in my early 30s. I've never heard anybody say that before in my life. And I was like, what? Because you had a good 10 years of doing it your way. And you realize how ineffective you are. The harder you work, the broker you are. So he has this thing to become one of his partners to support his ministry. Let me tell you, as broke as I was, I signed up to become his partner. Whatever he knew, I needed to know. Whatever he knew, I needed to know. I needed to know. And that began my journey of acquiring the wisdom of God. Mike Murdoch, the wisdom of God. This song that is coming on here, it is fronted by Pharrell featuring Jay-Z. This song was so popular, and it means something to me is because I remember in 2003, I was involved with my longtime college sweetheart. We were together for almost 5 years. Crazy, right? We were together for almost 5 years. She was offended. She ain't say it. She understood why, but she was offended by the fact that I did not have a car. She came into college a year after me and graduated a year before me. Let me tell you, those are some of the most heartbreaking nights that I'm in a relationship with a woman that came in after me and finished before me. Many a nights crying about that. You are wondering why? Because it is in a man's pride to be on a certain level. Not only did she come in after me and finish before me, because she was in the School of Fine Arts, which is now named after Chadwick Boseman, which one we all, I think she might have knew him because they were in the same school together in fine arts. One of the things that really bothered her was the fact I didn't have a car. So again, adult conversations. I don't know anything about this stuff. I did not know. I knew how to survive. I did not know how to advance. I didn't know how to get a car. I did not know. I knew how to work. I knew how to go to church. This is why I get so passionate about people learning about life. Because you are walking around life looking like a fool. Oh, the Lord is happy for me. I'm happy for the Lord. And we are just, no. You need somebody to sit you down and be like, hey, let's go over some other things. That's what, in particular, that's what a man needs. Now, you can go on the internet and find almost anything out. I don't believe in that. I believe that the internet is a great tool, but you need that face-to-face kind of manage expectations. Because listening to this video, you have an idea how tough it was for me, because there was no sharing of ideas or wisdom, and you don't know what to ask. You don't know what to ask. You don't know what you don't know. And I'm going through life. I'm wasting my life doing everything the hard way. Where I live, I would catch the bus to the metro, not knowing. And I did that for years before I knew the bus that went in the opposite direction was actually quicker getting to a metro further down the metro line, and I can get to my job faster. Years. This is why I'm so passionate about teaching. Someone's commentary can change your life. Someone's mere commentary can change your life. So back to 2003. My girlfriend is offended that she's dating a guy who doesn't have a car, and not just don't have a car. Not just don't have a car. I mean, she started out with a car, very nice, because it was her first car. When she got it from the dealership, she came by my house to show it to me. Okay, fine. When she got her first nice car, that thing That thing looked like a Jolly Rancher with 4 wheels. I was like, what is that? She was moving up in life. I'm still struggling, surviving, because that's all I know, because that's all we think we ought to have. Okay. She says, we're going to the car dealership across the street. I was like, oh, okay, why? She's like, we're going to get you a car. We're going to get you a car. I was like, I was like, do you think we can really get me a car? She was like, yes, we can get you a car. I was like, it was so bad. I was like, I can get a car. I can get a car. I still have no money. I made more money from my part-time job than I did my full-time job. What she's saying but not saying, you don't have credit. You're a risk. They will give you a car if they know that they can get money. She sold me on this idea, no money down, no credit. Let's just go in there, let's see what happens. This is how a woman thinks. This is how a woman thinks. Because even if you can walk out of there with a car, how much more are you paying on the back end? Because you have no credit and you have no money down and you don't. We went across there. We got in a navy blue Pontiac. That I forget what kind of car it was. That thing was a smoke show. That thing was a smoke. She was like, "You like this?" I was like, "Yeah." For someone who don't have a car, yes. The car salesman quickly began to figure out. He was like, I don't think this guy has anything. So after we test drove it, we went to the office and running up some numbers. It was a whole lot of punching because he was like, oh, I see why you don't have any money. It's because you're spending all your money paying on your student loans. The little bit of money I was making, I was committed to paying my student loans because it was the right thing to do, and it still is. You borrowed money, pay it back. Don't talk to me about how blessed you are. You borrowed money, pay it back. That was me. This guy quickly realized, let me get this fool out my office because he has no money. He works all the time, but he has no money. I am walking back to my girlfriend and I were walking back to her apartment. I called my sister on my cell phone. I was like, I'm really disappointed. She said, why? I was like, I'm coming back from a car dealership and I don't have, and I got rejected. She was like, okay, well, you just have to build credit up. I was like, I don't know what that means. Because again, I am the same person I am when I left high school. If no one taught me, I don't know. I don't know. If no one taught me. Because by me being on my own, I know there's no quiet counsel. There's nothing happening. So I was like, build up credit. Because when everybody else talk about it, it just sounds so easy. Oh, all you got to do is X, Y, and Z. And I don't know what that means. I don't understand what that means. We went to a car dealership in College Park. I did not know it was the same car dealership that tried to get over on my sister when she bought her Honda Accord. This dealership had a midnight blue Honda Civic that looks exactly like the Honda Civic my girlfriend had. She had a candy apple red one. Smoke show. This joint had the midnight blue, like his and her cars. I'm looking at that. I was like, oh, bless God. Oh, bless God. Oh, Lord, thank you. I bless you every day of my life. It was so bad. It was so bad. Those people was trying to get over on me. I caused such a scene in the car dealership. I wasn't bad, but I was visibly upset because I don't understand what's happening. The people trying to get over on me, but my girlfriend is doing this for her. Why? Because I can't be with a guy who doesn't have a car. So it was all these variables and none of them was on the same page. Because she wasn't doing that for me. She was doing that for her. She was doing that for her. And I got so upset that I stood up in the y'all, you don't know what you don't know. I was so upset with my girlfriend because it took me a while to figure out what it is that she was doing. So wait, if she had her way, they would have locked me in on like a deal that I could not afford. I would have gotten a car that I probably would have lost 8 weeks later. Because why? Because I don't have money. This society is trying to have a life with no money. The church believe in Christ, but they don't believe in cash. These are realizations that I had to discover over these 25 years. I was taught basics, but anything beyond that was wrong. I was taught survival, but anything beyond that was wrong. I bought my first car cash when I was 38 years old. 20 years after being an 18-year-old. True story. True story. The guys who was with me when I signed the title, they said your eyes were so big while we was at that table. I was like, yeah. That made me realize if you want to have stuff that's worth having, pay for it once. Pay for it once and pay cash. 20 years. Because I'm walking back from the metro, dropping off my zip car, and walking home in 100-degree weather or 20-degree weather. And I'm talking to God like, Lord, you don't want me to have a car? I mean, what? I don't understand. Why is it I don't have a car? You don't have things because you don't know how to get them. This is not a righteousness issue. This is a knowledge issue. And the church does not push knowledge. They push emotions. They don't push outcomes. One of the worst things that will ever happen to you is having a religion. Jesus didn't preach religion. He preached the kingdom of God. This is why this was so tough. When I drove my first car home, I text Lorena and I text my sister. And all I can say was, it's finally done. Your life can only move at the speed of the knowledge that you possess. Your life can only move at the speed of the knowledge that you possess. If you don't know, you ain't going anywhere. If anyway, you might go back. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know how to do things better. I didn't know. I didn't know. I told my father the story over dinner. I have my I process shame the way my mother did. Out of all the feelings that she dealt with, she couldn't deal with shame. Like, don't embarrass me. That was her thing. I had no idea how important that feeling was to me. It's because I'm going to church, I'm taking a few people from Washington to Baltimore to my home church, but I'm driving someone else's car. Always, 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 always. Looking crazy, always. Okay. What I don't understand is how the church wastes so much time not talking about stuff that matters. I remember when a sister, Pastor Bullock, she was in the pulpit one Friday night, and, excuse me, and she said, you know, some people think they own their cars. They don't own their cars. The bank owns their cars. Until you pay that note off completely, the bank owns your car and they can take it back at any moment. She said that. I was like, wait, what? Wait, what? Like, that was common sense, but it wasn't to me. Like, I don't know anything about that. Tell me more. It's like I should be learning more about that instead of 10 different ways to get the Holy Ghost. Okay, it's like no, wait, wait. Listen to my video of quad counsel. You're suffering in ways that you don't know about because there's no one giving you counsel in those areas. And that was the majority of my life. I was hanging out with a young lady, very aggressive. She had nice skin. She had nice skin. I can't take that from her. She really liked me, and like I didn't pick up on that. You know. So we are talking, and she was asking me about my life, and I was like, okay, this is different. Okay, so I began telling her about my life and everything, and her conclusion was I wasted the majority of my life. We're having this conversation 5 years ago. She said that I wasted my 30s because of stuff that I didn't know. And that was a tough pill to deal with, because I don't believe I could have said that to her and that would have went well. But she felt okay saying it to me, like most black women do. They just say things to men and they're like, whatever. So I was like, okay. I think within the next week I bought my first car. And she was one of the people I told, one of the first people I told after the previous two, and she was very happy. Because at this point in time, she was ready to see me. Like, she was ready to hang out. I didn't know anything about that because all I knew was getting on the bus and catching the train. These 25 years have been such a learning curve. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, this could have been done differently. This could have been done differently. It's so much I didn't know. That's why starting at 2010, 11 years ago, I just became obsessed with learning. It's like, see, men come to this realization. No one is coming to save you. Excuse me. At no point did I feel like someone was coming to save me. That there was a pot of gold at the end of something. No. No. So I just wanted to do this video to kind of touch on 25 years after I left high school. Since it's the 25-year anniversary of the 1996 NBA draft, which is the greatest NBA draft of all time, and 25 years of TDJ's being in Dallas, and other amazing things that happened in 96. I wanted to do something to kind of talk about my journey of these 25 years. These 25 years did not go well because no one took enough interest in me to tell me things. Where I'm in my 40s now, and when I tell younger people things, they're not interested. What? No, I didn't even have that opportunity to act like that because no one would tell me anything. My brother expected me to be a 20-year-old, yet treated me like a 12-year-old, and like that was confusing. Like, wait, what standard am I've been held by today? But I'm grateful for every single thing my brother and sister have done for me, because it's I can talk about what I didn't have, but what if I didn't have what it is I did have? So I'm grateful to them. Even to this day, I take their birthdays very seriously. I take their birthdays very seriously. That's something I don't mess around with, because you can waste time being bitter, or you can move on, take control of your life, and be better. It's up to you. It is totally up to you. So maybe I would do a sequel to this video, because you can't cover 25 years in 2 hours. But yeah, it's so much more stuff I have to say. That's why I have a channel, because as you take this journey along with me, it gives me opportunity to share these things. So I'm just grateful. I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful to my parents, because, you know, talk about things that you didn't have. I remember sitting next to a guy in my 10th grade French class that got murdered. Like, like Andrew, he's not coming to school anymore because he's dead. Like, that could have been me. Like, yo, you have got to be grateful. Like, that could have been. Andrew was a funny guy, but he had a street life. I don't know who did what. I don't know who fault it was, but he had a street life. I'm just grateful to God. That's why I create these videos, because I'm so ferocious about knowledge. Knowledge. For the people perish not for a lack of prayer or fasting. They perish because of a lack of knowledge. And the people who's held accountable are the ministers. Like, why are you talking about stuff that won't get your light bill paid? Like, I mean, why? We can circle back and talk about that later. We got to talk about how to be functional in this society. All right. I'll cut it here. I'll see y'all in a little bit. All right. God bless. Bye.